One morning, in 1969, a nurse injected atropine into Gwei-djen's neck to keep her from salivating. As Gwei-djen waited outside the operation room, a doctor approached her, asking if he could delay her appointment. The nurses considered parking Lu in the corner of another patient's room while she waited, but Gwei-djen insisted on returning to her bed. Alone and hungry with a desiccated mouth, Gwei-djen waited anxiously for 2 more hours before the nurses finally returned to inject another dose of atropine into her neck and wheel her back to the operation room, where doctors inserted a tube down her throat and discovered an invasive tumor in her left lung. Dago Joseph, all has not gone well this morning. I'm still in the white. This was no place for discussing a Taoist understanding of the body, no reason for explaining the inner elixir, and no place for practicing acupuncture. Gwei-djen, draped in the white hospital gown, was embedded within a biomedical context that assaulted her parasympathetic nervous system as the nurses and doctors became anonymous and authoritative, reinforcing her helplessness. As the nurse punctured Gwei-djen's neck to deposit atropine, the needle functioned as a vessel to transfer fluid that would inactivate local neurotransmitters, serving a much different purpose from the acupuncture needles that Gwei-djen studied.
Here is how the atropine works. Nerve agents knock out the relaxing cholinesterase, causing the acetylcholine to build up until it paralyzes the muscle.
Her body had been altered to an abnormal state as preparation for investigating an abnormal growth inside of her. And although she had been ill, it was the effect of the atropine and not her own disease that caused her to suffer. The fearless Gwei-djen, who had been fiercely independent and revolutionary-minded since her days of the May 4th protests, was frightened and alone. And as we uncover drafts of her essays on the inner elixir, we discover that Lu had censored her own ambivalence towards this inner alchemy. She argued that the inner elixir was based on a corporeal understanding of the body, explaining that this physiology was not just certain, but real. Yet if it were real, why was it also invisible? Had the strangeness of her own biomedical body distanced her even further from understanding the strangeness of a Chinese medical body?